This is the first leg day back since competing in the Southern California Championships. Placed fourth, which is better than my prior competition in December. So, saw some improvements. I was more muscular. I was a little bit leaner, but unfortunately, I'm no control of who shows up at the shows, and the competitors there were as good or better than my last show. So I didn't see a significant bump up, but that's what bodybuilding's about. It's just about improving what you have and constantly working on what you can. I definitely need to get leaner. I haven't reached that pinnacle super paper thin skin yet. Clearly, my legs get lean and they pretty much stay lean year round. My abs are staying leaner due to my improved discipline, but I'm learning now that my problem area is 100% my low back. Just the skin looks so thick there. And I don't think my physique at certain angles and certain poses is going to look good until I'm absolutely shredded. Some guys, they have better body fat distribution than I do, and they can be as fat as I am and look way better than I do, and that's just what it is. So the workout leg day, it started with the leg press. You see me grabbing my knee at the end because I literally felt my knee pop. So those weren't great. I probably should have started lighter, and I will definitely be going lighter next week and working more on range of motion. But I only use those to prime the legs. But as I worked up into my squat, knee didn't bother me. Felt great. I wanted to see if I could get back to the weight I was lifting 2 weeks out. It's been like 5 days at this point since I had competed. I'm definitely hydrated and gained some of my weight back. I was sitting around 233, 235 after the show. That's about the same weight I was at peak week. So I gained the water weight back, staying lean, staying disciplined, eating a little more, doing a little less cardio, and feeling much better recovered. So worked into a squat, just added weight as I felt confident with each set, and it went pretty good. But definitely seeing where I need to improve and brought me some more focus, brought me some more energy. I don't think in this amount of time that I have allotted, I think at this point in the video, I would have been like 4 weeks out for my next competition, and I don't think that I could really make the improvements I needed to make with the amount of time that I had. I was eating so little food the last few weeks before my last competition. I just so burnt out. It didn't feel like I could just push back into that hole a second time within like 4 weeks. So I made the decision to just do the Tampa show. And ironically, I only registered for the Tampa show. I didn't register for the Texas show back when I was registering for all the shows. The Texas show didn't even open up registration until like recently. I was trying to register as soon as I could to just kind of lock in. And I think the 7 week amount of time that I have will allow me to just better focus. What I'm looking to do now is increase my food intake, work on my dietary discipline, and back off the cardio and let my body recover. I was definitely very flat on stage to try and compensate for the extra body fat I was still carrying. To make weight, I had to cut water, and once again, cutting water, all it does is make your muscles look smaller. So even though I was bigger and more lean than last time, it didn't show as significantly or obviously as it should have, I believe, because there's still little bits of fat that really make my physique look like shit. So that's all these next 7 weeks are going to be about, is just slow and steady fat loss, not stressing the body. I feel like because I pushed the diet and the training and the cardio so hard near the end of my last prep, it honestly looked like my body just stopped getting leaner. Instead, it looked like it just flattened out everywhere. But I'm kind of a person that once I set a plan, I just got to stick to it and see it through. I don't like changing things so often that when I get the result of the experiment, I don't know what led to the actual result. So I'm okay with making a wrong decision as long as I see it through and then I can learn from it. But if you're making wrong decision and then keep changing things, it turns out you could maybe make two wrong decisions. There's no guarantee that the next adjustment you make is right. So I over dieted near the end, made it harder and harder just to even follow the diet because I just kept taking more food away from myself. That probably wasn't the mature decision. And then compensating by adding more cardio, once again, not the mature decision. It was definitely like the knee jerk reaction. So I'm just gonna stick to the 1 hour of cardio fasted, no extras. I don't dislike morning cardio. I really like it. I don't do it too crazy. I just walk on an incline. If I'm feeling it, I'll get on the stairs. If I'm feeling it, I'll get on the elliptical, and I just rotate between them. I make sure the output is roughly the same. And I just really like the way it starts my day. It gets me up before I train clients. My first client's at 6:30 a.m. So I get up in the gym at 5 a.m. and I just get moving. And it feels great just starting my day that way. And that's what I did. Just rolled in and got it rolling. I've been doing that since I got off the stage. Just went and did my hour each day. The only day I don't do cardio is leg day. Something I tried last prep that I really liked was the single leg exercises. I was doing a lot of lunges, and I didn't like marching around the gym, getting in everyone's way. So I started doing dumbbell split squats, and it felt like the limiting factor to the dumbbell split squat was everything other than my legs. So I wanted to further isolate it by doing a hip press. This is very close and similar to a leg press, but because it swings on a pendulum, I can just feel my knee a little bit differently. And here I just do my left leg first, try to see how many reps I could get. It's a new exercise. I have a hard time gauging effort. It's the first time I reintroduce something. So I go more for a high volume approach when I do that. And then if it feels good, I just try to maintain the effort. And then the next week I start increasing intensity and start finding failure. I did that similar approach when I was a power lifter. Whenever I'd start my prep or my season, getting ready for a big strong single rep, I would do higher reps, and each week I'd slowly and slowly progress by adding more weight, reducing reps, reducing sets until I was prepared for getting on the platform to just lift literally only 3 times. So in this case, I'm trying to find failure with a really heavy weight in a rep range that I like. I don't know what feels good. I don't know what feels comfortable yet. So I'm doing sets at 20 to try and figure out the technique, get all those reps in, feel what feels good, trying to make mental note of those things. And then I saw what weight I could throw around. So now next week, confidently, I'm going to add like a 25 on the side and just repeat the effort. And each week, I'll just kind of slowly find my way to the boundary. And what's great is your body doesn't know what it can do. It can only know what it's done since last time. So this is my first exposure to the weight. This created a stimulus. It's called a novelty stimulus if your body's never done it before. So that means that the next workout, as long as I do another rep, another set to a degree, or add a little bit more weight, my body hasn't done it before in recent history. So it's a new stimulus. And once again, it's a novelty. And my body's going to adapt to that and get ready for the next session when I once again add more intensity, add more reps or more sets. So that's just kind of what I'm going about here. This angle's terrible. I made sure I was getting to a 90-degree knee bend, but it's so hard to record around this machine because there's so much going on in terms of the structure to it that you can't really see me working out at all. But I don't want to miss sets or reps or exercises when I'm recording. So I just try to find a spot and leave it be. I used to get really frustrated back in the day when I would watch like old Jay Cutler videos or Ronnie Coleman videos. You could only see like a moment of their training that they do for months and years leading up to a moment that you remember. I wish I could be a fly on the wall and watch every single Ronnie Coleman workout for the entire decade of the 90s before he won the 2001 Olympia with Jay. I know he won prior to 2001, but 2001 is one of my favorite competitions. And I would love to have just seen the little adjustments, the tiny things that happen. But instead, all we have are a couple videos that are maybe a few hours long. And that's all we have to know about what Ronnie used to do. And he even admitted that he didn't always train like he did on those videos. He did it for the camera. So, I wish I could see like, what's a normal back day with Ronnie actually look like when no one's watching, no one's there. He has no clue who's looking. How much weight does he legitimately put on the bar day in and day out? And some of his older videos kind of allude to it. I think when he's still training with his ex-wife, Vicky, he was talking about coming back off of, I think it's one of the battle for the Olympias. He just come off like the European Grand Prix. He had been traveling. He didn't have an expectation to hit a huge PR. And that's what he was talking about. He's like, I only did this for 8 reps. I normally get 10 or 12, but I know I've been traveling, so I don't expect to go as much or as hard. It was really valuable for me to hear that from even Ronnie Coleman, where he didn't force progression every single session. What he did is he understood out of context okay, how well recovered am I? What's the expectation? What's realistic here? I feel like the problem with logbooking for a lot of people is they don't take into context all those other things that contribute to what led to the performance. All they do is see a rep and they're like, I got to beat that today. But maybe you're having a super stressful day. Maybe you didn't sleep well. Maybe you missed a meal. Maybe you just had drank over the weekend. Your body's not even recovered from it. There's a lot that goes into it. And to replicate each workout perfectly and improve it consistently every single week, it's not easy. It's actually pretty unrealistic to expect that. So that's why I lean more into volume style training than intensity style. Because when I did intensity style training, I'm just so stubborn that I do expect one more rep every single week. And you'll do anything to make that one rep happen. And that usually means that I will fudge the technique a little bit to see the number go up on a piece of paper, which is not healthy. That's not a good and mature way to train. That's pretty reckless. And it's what's led to me getting hurt quite a few times. You know, as long as you maintain effort and maintain output, your body doesn't know the difference. But if you do take extensive periods of time off, your body will, it'll have a response to it. But even Ronnie Coleman, he'd take like 3 months off and he would come back in, better shape than last year and he'd still win the Olympia. So time off isn't bad as long as you come back and just keep working. It's like whenever I have a client who kind of falls off the wagon with their diet, and if you slip up for one meal, it's like not a big deal. But some people will take it to like, well, I fucked up. I might as well fuck up harder. And they go hit up a buffet. And then it becomes like a 3, 4, or 5 day bender. You see that with a lot of people in different things. And it becomes even worse than you needed it to be, right? If you could just mess up once, pick up where you left off and go back to what you were doing, no, you're going to be just fine. So that's like kind of the same thing with prep. If you're in prep and you mess up a little bit, fix your stuff, get back to it, get back to work. But a lot of people will instead slip up and they decide to instead punish themselves with a harder diet and more cardio the following day. It's like, dude, your body isn't going to put on 5 pounds of fat in one meal. And of course, you keep making those bad decisions consistently, you will put on 5 pounds of fat eventually, or you'll stop making progress on your diet. But it's not healthy to make a mistake and punish yourself for it. That's not your job. Your job is understand the mistake, acknowledge it, and apologize to yourself for just putting yourself in the position to have not made progress, and then get back on the ball, get back to it. And that's something I really need to work on. That's what happened in my last prep. I slipped up a little bit, decided punishment was the answer, and once again, the results of this competition taught me that is not the answer. And it's a really expensive decision to learn, or a very expensive mistake to learn from. If you're doing this at home, you're training on your own, the mistake costs you nothing. But when you're spending lots of money to be present at a competition, to make mistakes leading up to it you shouldn't be making, that's hard. So rather than spending more money and forcing myself into another competition, inevitably making more mistakes, I am reconvening and I'm going to improve what I can on my mental approach to this so that the mistakes become a thing of the past. This is my quest to become a professional. And I don't think a professional would continue to make the same mistakes. That would be very immature. So I'm acknowledging the mistakes and making adjustments for them to have a more successful showing in my next one. So we'll see how that one goes. And if I'm pleased with it and I think it's a maintainable presentation, I can find another competition soon after. If it's something I really need to work on, well, I have plenty of time from my next competition in August all the way to December to clean it up even more. So I'm just going to kind of play it by ear and not try to plan every single moment and every single thing that's going on. I feel like that creates a lot of pressure and anxiety for me. And, I'm always going to train hard, but figuring out those little things are what's going to lead to long-term success in this. And I think that's what leads to a lot of burnout for some people is they're just chasing a dragon constantly and they don't stop to figure out what they're doing wrong. And I am acknowledging what I'm doing wrong. I acknowledge what I need to improve. And I'm starting that practice and approach to get there. So this is pretty much near the end of the leg day. I did the leg extensions after the single leg press, try to force as much blood as I can in there. I do all my quad movements first because it's the thing I want to focus on the most. My hamstrings are massive and I do almost no effort or work to make them grow. So I literally only hit like 3 hard sets of hamstring curls and move on. You saw me doing glute kickbacks. That's not just for bikini chicks. That's for bodybuilders too. If you have a physique weakness, you need to address it. That glute weakness is a glute medius, the upper outer part of the glute. I had a lot of weakness in that area identified by physical therapists when I was an athlete, and it's definitely what contributed to back problems I used to have as an athlete. And they kind of went away, the back problems, because I wasn't playing the sports anymore. But as a bodybuilder, it's now about aesthetics. And I can see that that part of my glute is actually underdeveloped relative to its friend, the glute max. So I addressed it directly, and that's what I will be doing now to try and create a more properly developed hip muscle. It'll lead to long-term improvement in physical health, but aesthetic improvement is the genuine real decision why I added glute kickbacks in. And then here I'm on the glute abductor machine where I'm just trying to isolate the glute a little bit more. This is my first 2 exercises I've tried to train the specific part of my glute with, and I definitely am going to make some adjustments and try and perfect my technique so that I can better address the weakness that I want to improve. But doing something is better than nothing, and these were my first 2 attempts at that, and it was pretty great. And then finally, for the leg day, a little bit of calf work. I found another way to do them in a standing position that I fell in love with. I've watched a member at my gym do this a couple times. Never thought anything negative about it, but I just didn't think to try it. And finally, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try doing what that guy does. And I threw it in, and it was great. So, yeah, rounding out near the end of the video, I feel like I learned a lot from this last prep. I am pleased with the result. It was an improvement, and that was all I was seeking. But I'm far and away from where I expect to be and what I believe I am capable of. So, acknowledging that, acknowledging my mistakes, my shortcomings, need to learn and adjust and overcome so that I can improve myself as an athlete, as a bodybuilder, and get better. And this is only going to help me lead others in bodybuilding as well as I coach clients. So, don't forget, stay hydrated, wipe down your equipment, and I'm glad to make my first video back. Have a good day.